In the minds of most Americans, an ideal society is one where people of all races have equal rights. However, for many left-wing activists on college campuses, equality is not the goal. Many of these people see the ideal society as one where white people become second-class citizens and non-whites receive special preferential treatment, such as the case at American University in Washington, D.C., a private liberal arts college. To begin to understand this story, we have to go back to May 1st, 2017. That morning on campus, several bananas were found hanging from trees, inscribed with messages like Harambe and Alpha Kappa Alpha, the name of an all-black sorority. Now, obviously, on the surface, this looks like a hate crime. However, AU was unable to locate the individual or individuals responsible for the banana hangings, so it's impossible to tell whether or not this was a legitimate hate crime or yet another hate crime hoax. Just earlier this week in rural Minnesota, a racist hate crime similar to this one was found to be a hoax, so it's not unreasonable to be suspicious about the integrity of this claim. Either way, the discovery of these bananas led to a full-scale meltdown on the campus of American University. A police investigation was launched, multiple media outlets covered the alleged hate crime, and the student body president, a black woman named Taylor Dumpson, issued the following statement. It is disheartening and immensely frustrating that we are still dealing with this issue after recent conversations, dialogues, and town halls surrounding race relations on campus. But this is exactly why we need to do more than just have conversations, but move in a direction towards more tangible solutions to prevent incidents like these from occurring in the future. I wonder what she could possibly mean by tangible solutions. Well, as we would all soon come to find out, when Taylor alluded to tangible solutions, she was actually alluding to a list of demands that black advocates would soon attempt to force the university to comply with. The demands included that a student union and cafeteria building on campus known as The Bridge must immediately become a sanctuary for all students of color. Trying to get coffee? Take a hike, white boy. Looking for a sandwich? Keep walking, white man. Next, activists demanded, utilizing incredibly poor grammar, that all non-white students get extensions on their assignments and not be penalized for finals that they missed. Because if you as a black student voluntarily took time out of your day to complain and whine on Twitter about an incident that took place on the other side of campus, that is somehow the university's fault, and you, based on your race, deserve preferential treatment and the ability to study longer for your final. Notice how all finals weren't extended, just the finals for non-white students. Talk about white privilege. Finally, these barely literate activists demanded that an independent board of investigators be set up to investigate racial microaggressions that take place on campus. Now, if you're a rational person, these demands will seem ridiculous to you. It's terrible that this alleged hate crime took place, yes, of course, but that shouldn't be enough to grant every non-white student the right to get more time to study on their finals. And let's assume that the bananas were hung by a white person, and they weren't a false flag hate crime like so many of these hate crime hoaxes have been. Why do all white people have to be punished as a result? This would be like banning all black people from a business because of the fact that blacks commit disproportionately high amounts of robbery and theft. And in fact, this is actually worse because there's no empirical evidence or proof that this hate crime was even committed by a white person. Yet, completely unfazed by the ridiculousness of their protest demands, demonstrators took to the streets of American University, prepared to shut down campus if need be. Protesters shut down their campus parking garage and blocked people from leaving, a true slap in the face to white supremacy. And like petulant children throwing a fit, they demanded to get what they want from the university president or they would shut it down. They're lucky they weren't blocking that parking garage when a patriot in an SUV was trying to drive through. Whoops, looks like my foot slipped. Start up that Maserati and vroom vroom, I'm racing. Now, a university, an institution of higher learning, surely they're going to see these demands and then have a conversation with the demonstrators, explaining to them how we can't designate a campus building as a sanctuary for minorities, and we can't just give people extra time on their finals because they're not white. Well, not exactly. You see, facts and logic and equal protection under the law are just tools of the racist-ass white people to keep minorities down. That's why, last week, American University decided they would give in to the protesters' demands. In fact, American University's provost, Scott Bass, promised that the university would not only accept these demands, but would continue adding on and finding more ways to concede to the far-left racial agitators. That's right. According to Bass, it wasn't enough to establish a sanctuary for non-whites on campus, but not for white students. It wasn't enough to discriminate against white students by giving non-white students more time to study in finals. They have to do more.
But I want to also say that doesn't stop our commitment to do more. This is just a minimum.
And boy, some of these protesters sure seemed grateful about that. So let's recap. An alleged hate crime takes place. The perpetrator can't be located, so we can't tell whether or not this is a real hate crime or a fake one. A list of demands is conveniently crafted and released. Protesters throw a temper tantrum, block traffic, and the university gives them what they want. It almost seems to me like the original incident could have been staged by the protesters themselves to give them a reason to protest and make demands of the university. In my opinion, it's easy to lay blame in this story. Some people may blame the protesters, but I think that's only partially appropriate. Protesters are going to protest the smallest microaggressions. It's what they do. They're going to continue to demand, like they did in this case, that all non-whites be given special treatment due to the racist actions of an individual who may or may not have even been white. That's all a given. This is the way the race hustle works, and it's been happening for years, along with the assistance of the SPLC, Richard Cohen, Rhonda Brownstein, and others. So no, it's not really the protesters' fault. Ultimately, I think the blame here lies on the university provost. Instead of telling these kids that they'd investigate the alleged hate crime and punish the individual responsible, he cucked out. He gave in to their temper tantrum. He validated the idea that all white and non-white people have to be subject to separate treatment because of this incident that we're not even sure is legit. The idea that races can be treated differently under the law was rejected in the 1964 Civil Rights Act, but apparently that doesn't matter anymore as long as white people are the ones being treated as second-class citizens. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited to get my results back from 23andMe because if I have even 1% North African ancestry, well, enjoy your final exams, white boy, because I'm taking mine a week later.